Yo, yo, how is everyone?
Pretty awesome.
Whoa, we got Big Jared in the house? Uh-oh.
I'm literally just sitting here. I had nothing to do, and I was like, "Holy shit! Let me just show up to this call and see what sorcery goes on."
No pressure, of course, right? Awesome, dude. Well, I hope everyone's having a good Monday so far. I hope everyone had a good week. I do, as I sort of open every call, is there anything anyone wants to sort of share about their weekend last week? Any wins, any losses, anything at all before we sort of hop in?
Oh man, I'm really gonna show up and be the first one who's like, "Oh yeah, let me share a win." Uh, so with Breakthrough Guitar, we actually just ran an affiliate promotion for a competitor, quote unquote, supplemental company that sells musical training. And we just did it through Wednesday through Saturday to our list. And mind you, it's not a huge list at all by any stretch of the imagination, but we hit about 30,000 in affiliate revenue. So that was cool because prior we have not been able to get any like affiliate offers working to our list. So that
Dude,
was
that's huge, man. Congrats.
thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, Ricky just said he landed his first sales letter. That's freaking huge, man. That's awesome. Congrats, brother.
I just pulled some stats for a welcome sequence I wrote. I finished the gig up maybe up to 2 months ago or something. And then the client was like, yeah, maybe we'll do a funnel. And I followed up with them. Like, oh, it's not time, not time. And it's at the event, they were like, get stats, get stats. So anyways, I finally got stats today for this welcome sequence that I wrote. And I'm pretty sure all these opt-ins are organic. It's not like a ton of them, but the open rates are ridiculous. And the click-through rates are quite good as well. So it's 34, 36, 43%, 29, 45, 51, 32, 49 on
Dude,
this
you're a
one.
monster. I love it.
That's insane.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
there's 6% click through on the first one, 4%, 4%, 2.5, 2.6 are the best. There's a couple with zero though. Oh, no, those are the splits. Yeah.
Dude, that is awesome. Congratulations. All right. Well, I think we can actually get going here. Let me share my screen and we can get rock and rolling.
Yo, what's up, buddy?
Yo, yo. How are you, man?
Good. Speaking of weekend wins, I just saw my email pop up. I just closed a 20K VSL deal with royalties 3 minutes ago. So,
Dude, so dinner's on you tonight. That's what I heard.
I'm gonna fly out to you and I'm gonna buy you a steak, buddy.
Perfect. Or you can just send me a steak. You know how they have those steak delivery services in the boxes?
Yeah, get you some Omahas or whatever.
That'd be awesome, man. Speaking of Omaha, I was in Nebraska last week. Funny enough.
What for?
But it's for the Dig Agency had a little retreat that we do every year, and anyway, I'll tell you I'll text you later today. We can talk about that. Let's talk about adrenal burnout, dude.
Send me a voice note.
I will.
Yeah, so this is putting the final wrap. Bramlett gave a little. This is for Crawford, who's in Bramlett's whatever the fuck he calls the supplement mastermind. Anyway, so this is another variation of the lead. Basically, just if you'll take a look at the first 2-3 pages, and then you can jump down to pages 6 to 8.
Sure.
So switching up, the last one was a deteriorating metabolism. So we switched it out to be a cortisol focused adrenal burnout, and I gave it a fucking acronym that I didn't want to do, but Bramlett kind of is picky about that kind of stuff. So natural energy renewal system, and yeah, basically taking the same premise as the deteriorating metabolism, but just taking a different spin on it and doing adrenal burnout instead.
Yeah, I think we talked about the metabolism stuff last week, and I think the deterioration is sort of a better way to sort of go about it. Because again, the metabolism stuff, Organifi is sort of beat to death already, and brands just like it. So
Yeah.
Let me see.
So
Let
I
me read
think
through the first.
this will be probably, I'm going to run them head to head, the last version and this version, but
Cool. Well, dude, I mean, the main thing that sort of sticks out to me, the first page is, I almost wonder if we keep this a secret for a little bit longer. And I don't think we move it down, but I wonder if we just call it your NERS system or something like that. And the reason why is, again, when I hear natural energy renewal system, this isn't really anything new or compelling just yet without an explanation. So I almost think we hide it a little bit, tease it out the way you have here, and then you promise I'll help you activate it. And then further down, you sort of open it up and say, here's what this thing actually is.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just to get them past like the first 2 pages.
Right, because the last thing I want is for adrenal burnout and this to kind of compete with each other too.
Yeah, makes sense.
So something to think about. And then you said page 6.
Yeah, right about there is kind of where I expanded on kind of his personal story and then got into kind of more about why they have to combat this issue today and not put it
Sure.
off. I think.
Well, I think before here, you have to let me know how it was affecting your life. Have you done so above?
Yeah. The
Oh, okay.
fog, low energy, mood swings, all that's like pages 3 through 5.
Sure. Do we have anything about how it affects his relations with his family?
The line or two there about feeling like a failure and feeling like he's going like a shell of a man kind of stuff. I guess I could flush out feeling more like a shell of a man or like.
I think when people are tired, they just lash out, right? They're a little more irritable. So maybe he yells at his daughter or something, right? And that's just like a very minor detail. But it's something I think a lot of people with low energy sort of resonate with, which is this idea of just like you're kind of hanging on by a thread and someone asks you the wrong question, and you just fucking flip. And then an hour later, you're like, why did I yell at this person?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to ping him and see how comfortable he is with getting kind of egregious on the details, because obviously I kind of took liberties.
Adrenals. Right. Okay. So before you get to the solution here, which is totally fine, I think what you basically need after you talk about you burn out your adrenals, this is sort of the paradigm shift here, right? I need some sort of actual proof. I don't think this is enough. I need something that says, I had burned out my adrenals. In fact, when I looked into the research from study XYZ, it confirmed everything. I had learned right away that it's been topic of discussion of energy experts everywhere. And according to studies, X%, I need some figures. I need something tangible, some sort of proof that proves this out a little bit more than just you talking to a practitioner.
Yeah. I thought about dropping stats. This is like I'll have to work on him kind of thing, because like he didn't want to be the guy that's like pulling, Mayo or NCBI studies or whatever and just like dropping them in as like a glaze over for people. But yeah, I think it does need it. It's just one of those things where he's like kind of hesitant to do that. But I'll just throw it in and then he can.
Right. There's just not enough meat here for me to bite into. And you know what you could do if he's someone who's sort of, which is weird. I don't know why he'd be squeamish against proof, but if
I
that's
think
the
he's
case,
just like he's seen so many sales letters about, oh, let me go grab this like one sentence from a 300-page study and then use that as like research. There's tons of sales letters that are like that are like pseudo bullshit, where they're just like, let me find any correlative that I can. But yeah, I'll go.
well, I mean, this is the truth though, right? Like your adrenals do have a huge part in, I mean, for example, even like your cortisol levels throughout the day, right? So I would argue that you don't have to get too into the weeds with the scientific stuff, but I would have something that's even something as simple as like, you know, one quick Google search, and I found the adrenals were the topic of discussion of over 10,000 studies that had to do with energy support or whatever. Just something that makes me know that this is real.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good workaround to just getting, you know, heavy into studies.
Right. Like at any point, do
Like-
we even explain what the adrenals are?
Yeah. Up there on page 4.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so then right after you basically go like, you know, so now that I knew that my adrenals were the problem, like, how could I fix it? OMG.
Right.
And then you get into this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you take my comment above about hiding the NERS or whatever else you want to call it, here's where you go. I had to activate my body's NERS, blah, blah, blah. You see, it actually stands for Natural Energy Renewal System. And
Yeah.
the way it works,
You do the reveal till page 7.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest seems fine, man. I think as long as you have, because you have a lot of like anecdotal proof, right?
Yeah.
I just need something that makes me know and understand that this thing's real, both from
Yeah.
an adrenal standpoint and from a solution standpoint.
Yeah, I'll go grab some Mayo stuff and then grab stats like, hey, this is the number of people in America who suffer from, you know, energy deficiencies and mood swings and, you know, brain fog, and just kind of make it seem obviously like a more pressing concern, not just for them, but, you know, this is like a big fucking deal. So
Right. And if you want to take it a step further, you know, you'll notice that this is all starts with I.
yeah.
Right. So what you could do is you can literally just say, you know, I share the results with my holistic practitioner in my community, and I realized the truth. I'd burned out my adrenals, blah, blah. And then right before you get here, you literally just recap what you have here, but you tie it to the adrenals very tightly. So you'd basically say something like, you know, little did I know that that third cup of coffee wasn't doing me any good, and it was actually ruining my adrenals even further. And then you have a study about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting
So if you've ever blah, 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 so if
Right.
this has happened to you, like, I just need a little bit more
yeah.
you oriented
If you're the
statements.
kind of person who reaches for that third, fourth, and fifth cup of coffee, yeah, I got you.
Right. Think twice or whatever.
Yeah. Cautionary tale insert here.
Well, totally. And it's also, I think it's something that's very relatable, right? Like, we have a couple ways to prove this out. And one way we can do that is through scientific proof, like hard figures. Another way is through some of this like anecdotal stuff. And then another way is just to say like, hey, you're doing all this shit and it's bad for you because of XYZ. So that's something I would focus on here.
Sweet. Yeah, good points. All right, I'll go drop in that stuff, and then I think that's going to be this will be the last time you look at this one.
No worries, man. I hope you didn't burn your adrenals out working on this.
You know
Aha.
me. Chugging
Dad
coffee.
joke of the day.
10 out of 10, old boy.
Thanks, man. I needed that. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, this is Chris. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
Good. So what you're looking at here is actually kind of kicking it old school. This will be actually printed and sent in the mail to people in Aspen, Colorado who own condos that have been holding on to them for a certain amount of time in certain neighborhoods. And it's part of a direct mail package.
That's awesome. Cool. And is this to get them to got to sell their place?
Yeah, it's like to start just considering it if they haven't already by having my client come in and tell them what it's worth, what they could do to make it worth more, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and just read through this. What's condos? Attached reasons why. So a couple things. So one, I wonder when it comes to direct mail, we can really get away with some of these really, really long headlines, right? We can have some sort of bullets here if you'd like, but the point I'm trying to make is I would love something here that brings a lot of credibility as to what makes him that expert, right? So for example, something as simple as, Aspen real estate expert with XYZ million sold in 2021 alone.
Okay.
Or just something that one brings me to today, which you kind of have here, which is awesome. But I would just love something that lets me know why he's an expert and why he's actually top dog. And then the second thing I'd love to add is, you have something here that's like, I think they're dead wrong, and the attached sort of report that you have explains why.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I think we make a very dangerous assumption, which is, unless I give them a little bit of flavor as to what's in here, there's a good chance that I just toss this thing because I never even get to open this thing in the first place. So I would love, maybe you don't need, I don't mean like, have some fascination bullets, but man, I would love something that's like, although the local real estate experts are always reassuring us that Aspen is different, and the national real estate experts are optimistic that this time is different. So two things here. I would remove experts, because if they're wrong, then they're not experts, right? And then two, I would basically have something that says like, my research has me convinced that they couldn't be more wrong, for example, and then just give me a little bit of what's in here.
Okay.
Just a couple bullets. That's like, for example, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. The full details are in the report that's attached.
Got it. Okay, that's great.
That's really all I have to sort of say about this. I think it's awesome. I think it's really fun. I think this is sort of like a lift note kind of style type thing to get them to read the thing. But yeah, so anyway, give him a little bit more flavor about why he's an expert. And then give me something here to sink my teeth into as to like why I need to open it in the first place. And this is very similar to like, if you read any direct mail in health, they do this in lift letters all the time, which is just like, in the attached, you'll find, or you'll discover bullet, 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 bullet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great feedback. Thanks. I appreciate it. I've been looking at this thing so long, I don't even see it anymore.
No, I trust me, brother. I've been there. It's tough.
Very cool. All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, see ya.
I think so. Rahid, I don't know. Rahid, are you here? It says you're not, so I'm not sure if you are or not. All right, we'll skip him for now, and if he hops back on. Matt had to go too, so we'll skip Matt. Isaac.
Hey, what's good, Mike?
What's up, dude?
So these are actually, it's funny because it's for one of the same offers that I had written emails for last time, but this is for the general thing they're doing, like the $100 thing in the group. And I was trying to do, that's funny that Jared's here. I was trying to do more of like his PWAT kind of style. So whether or not I did that well, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's kind of the context.
Great. Yeah. Can you remind me what the $100 thing is?
Oh, so that's just like the gig that they gave us in CA LITE, like write an email for this. And I just did 3 because I don't know, I don't like doing the bare minimum. And Lena did like 6. So,
That's awesome. And what's the...
So it's the Slim Belly Cleanse one, but he actually has a sales letter for it now.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Hey, I'm sorry. Can I interject here? Because I love talking about email, Mike. I don't want to take over your call, but
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, yeah. What's up, man?
So the thing that I worry about this length of subject line is not mentioning bloating until the very end, because it's going to get cut off in people's like inboxes on their phones, right? So you really want to focus on having those trigger words at the beginning of the subject line so that they're definitely going to see it. So how you might do that, because if somebody has bloating and this cuts off, then all they see is like, celebrated American doctor finds real cause, and then it's done. You could do like brackets, like bloating breakthrough, celebrated American doctor finds real cause for patients bloating, just something at the beginning that lets people know this is the subject line for them. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of where I wanted to start is, to Jared's point, bloating can possibly be cut off. I also think there's an easy fix here, which is just literally remove patients, because that removes a certain percentage. You can also remove this too and just go celebrated doctor uncovers root cause for bloating or something like that. Alternatively, I don't know if you have the option to work with preview lines and super subject lines, but that's often where if I have a super long subject line and I want to make sure that they see everything, I'll start with my best shit up front and then I'll end it in the preview line or supplement somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I've been keeping myself muted so you don't hear me typing all the stuff down on my keyboard.
Oh, no, no worries, man. So yeah, I think Jared's spot on. I would play around with different ways to sort of convey the same message. Because look, what do we have here? We have three variables, right? We have a doctor, we have a true root cause, and we have bloating. Within these three, we can mix and match however we need to for this to all make sense and hit the prospect where we need them to be hit, right?
Okay. Yep.
So for example, I mean, I would probably just go, like Jared said, bloating breakthrough uncovered by celebrated American doctor. Or, depending on what it's a 20-second fix, right? So why not literally start with 20-second bloating fix and then in parentheses, uncovered by American doctor, or American doctor reveals 20-second bloat fix or something like that. I don't know. This is all, I'm sort of pulling it out of my ass, right?
Yeah, there's like a million ways that you could take these variables and turn them into different, tests.
Right, but I think it's just I look at this way in terms of like I have three puzzle pieces, and then which way do I want to move them? So that's where I would sort of start with some of the subject lines.
Okay.
So the one thing I'll say overall is there's actually zero mentions of the prospect or the reader. It's all about the doctor and his patients, right? There's no you language. So that's the first thing that sort of jumps out at me. And I think the easy fix is literally, and yet no matter how many patients come to Dr. Ferrero with these symptoms, you might also be surprised with the answer he gives them or something like that, right? Why you're that, why blah, blah, blah. Why no matter how healthy your lifestyle is. But the other thing I'll note is you almost bury the lead a tiny bit. So I wonder if we start here. Because this is what the cool shit, right? Every email has one line that's like, here's where the cool shit is. No pun intended for this promo, right? But here's where that is. So I'm always asking myself, like, if I lead with something that's really cool, And then I have a couple of lines before I get to what they opened the email for. How can I get to here as soon as possible? And the key, I think, at least, and Jared, feel free to jump in if I'm wrong, is I would actually have this be in the first couple of sentences, which is literally just like, dear friend, a celebrated American doctor just blew the lid off the #1 problem plaguing Americans, bloating. You see, he actually uncovered the true root cause. And if you struggle with this, all of this shit, he's revealing it publicly for the first time. Done.
Yeah. So in terms of like specifically, because you mentioned following like PWAT, right?
Trying to at least, yeah.
No, so like in the problem section, the problem can be as little as one word. Like the whole goal of the first sentence is just to find the most powerful, intriguing, curiosity-inducing way to relate the problem, or relay that this email is for them again, by mentioning the problem. But you don't have to like dive into their symptoms and shit in the first line, the first couple lines. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends, right? Everything is context and what the market actually responds to. But yeah, if you're saying like, hey, here's the root cause of bloating, jump the fuck right into it, because that's what they opened the email for.
Okay.
Is this on the sales page?
Yeah, it's like the unique mechanism, I guess, of the problem as they mention it, or the real
okay.
problem. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so actually, dude, okay, what's really funny is I would actually put these two emails together. Because I would literally say something like, you put in all of Jared and I's edits, and then you say it's actually something called hidden constipation, and finally we have a fix. Boom. Because then that gives this a little bit of proof and oomph behind it. So I would move the hidden constipation stuff into this email if you can.
Okay, so but you don't mean as in like make there not be an email 1 and 2 and make it like just one Franken email. You just mean adding the hidden constipation element into the first one as well. Is that
right? Exactly.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Especially, I mean, if they're seeing it in the headline, I'd literally say it in the email because that would be super congruent for them.
Okay. Particularly at the end, I guess it really does make sense because you mentioned adding it like, I don't know if it was like 1 or 2 lines near the end or something, which just loads them up better too, I imagine.
Right. You can say, you'd be super surprised that we actually found out the true root cause. And this is why you feel like other dog shit. It's something called hidden constipation, and recent research shows that there's a 20-second fix. Click here now. See you later. And then for this one, I wonder if we actually need any of this. Like, what does this sort of accomplish? Right. We talked last week about sort of using analogies, metaphors to describe things, which I think is really great. But I worry that they might not even open this email to begin with because there's not a lot of context here.
Okay.
Why does the stomach stop working? Right? Like, it could be due to a lot of things. It could be due to you getting punched in the stomach. It could be due to food. It doesn't necessarily tell me that this is about digestion and bloating.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of arbitrarily making something super different just to be different rather than actually something that's going to connect with them.
Right. And there's actually, not a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? There isn't there's no continuation of this quote with the email. So why use the quote in the first place?
Yeah, I mean the gear stopped turning and like it's working the same in your stomach was kind of where I was trying to connect it, but evidently I did it poorly because it didn't it wasn't obvious.
But I also get where you're coming from, right? Like
Okay.
I don't want you to think that I'm saying like rewrite this whole thing. My goal is to sort of ask a ton of questions that make you start thinking in a different way.
Right,
It's just like,
and my intent doesn't really matter if it's not coming across in the copy anyway. So like I'm not trying to, if it sounds like I'm trying to get offended, I'm just trying to explain the reasoning behind it so I can know why that reasoning may be incorrect as well. So yeah, you're all good, Mike. I appreciate like everything you're pointing out.
yeah, of course. So there's like probably curious can be worse than what's on your belly. So you can actually do a quiz type email here, I think.
Okay, quiz type. And how would
Which
that,
is just like, dear friend, there are 4 bloating cures on the market today that are touted by pundits, but guess what? They're actually making it much worse for you. Option A, B, C, D, have them all linked to the sales page. And then it's like, click which one you think it is.
okay,
Have you
that's
seen those
really
emails
interesting.
before?
No, that's, I mean, it sounds awesome. It's new to me.
Yeah, they used to be super popular a couple of years ago. I don't know, Jared, is that still like a big thing?
Yeah, they're still working, unfortunately.
You sound like
So
a
you,
big fan.
Um, I mean, they're not my favorite, but like, hey, what works, works, right? What I would do is if you're gonna go the quiz angle, make it the one worst cure. And that's not like copy itself, but like the idea, right? And because you're saying 4 bloating cures that could make it worse, you should probably angle it like what is one of the common cures that's making it the worst out of any, right? Because then there's actually a reason for them to click and guess rather than saying all 4. Is this coming across? I'm just sort of like trying to spew all my logic.
no, that makes total sense. It's like
Okay.
telling me like, don't eat bananas for joint pain. And it's like, great, you just told me the answer. See you later.
Yeah.
So what you could do then is you can just say 4 bloating cures that actually make it worse, and then in parentheses or in the preview line, and one that actually works. And then that way you can have 5 and they don't know which one the actual answer is.
Okay.
Or, sorry, like is similar to that, but introduce the idea that all 4 of these are making it worse, but there's one that makes it the worst. And the logic there is that maybe, and I say maybe because again, it's all contextual and whatever the market responds to is what it actually responds to. If somebody is trying laxatives, then they'll probably click, oh, laxatives. Laxatives are probably making it the worst. Or if they do juice cleanses, they'll self-relate basically is what I'm getting at. In that style of quiz, like which one of these 4 is making it the worst?
So for a quiz style, would that just be like super, super quick then that you would get them in there? Because I've been trying to think of how you would not.
Yeah, literally like 60 words.
Okay.
Yeah, here I
It sounds like
I
super
have some in my
short.
Dropbox. Hold on, I'll find it for you guys. 1 second. Yeah, it's literally like, it's one of these emails that you write and you go, that's it. And yeah, that's it. Hold on, let me see if I can find. Should have some in my Dropbox. Well, actually, you know what? I will make sure to get some after the call. I'll make a note and then I'll go ahead and send it over to you.
Cool.
Sweet, dude. And that meant good work. I know this is a much sort of improved style from last week. And I think as you write more of these, you'll start to learn that every health email really has a very distinct cadence, and they all really kind of sound the same, to be honest. but you'll sort of understand and learn the style as you do more and more of these.
Yeah, I'm noticing I'm kind of just, like I said before, just kind of arbitrarily trying to make them different. And it's almost just for the sake of being different rather than the sake of what's actually going to work. So, I mean, if you just told me how great my emails are every time I came in here, I wouldn't be learning anything. So I really appreciate, both you guys just giving your ideas.
Yeah, of course, man. And one thing you can try is literally, I would sit down and just read through this entire thing with a notepad and basically ask yourself, like, what's cool and what's fun about this? What are some entryways into a conversation, right? Like, for example, like, this is awesome, a 6-question quiz. I would literally use that as an email idea.
Yeah, someone did mention that. I think I don't, because a bunch of us were doing these kinds of emails. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I think part of it is because I'm still unclear as to just like how much, like from further down in the sales letter you should work with.
Literally
I guess-
anything, dude. A good
Okay.
sales letter has little fun Easter eggs throughout the entire thing.
Okay, because I was thinking that that if it wasn't in the lead, that maybe they would lose interest because it would take them too long to get to it. And I guess I was just thinking incorrectly about that.
Well, I mean, look, there is something to be said for, if you take something from minute 50 on a VSL, like, yeah, there's a bit of a risk you're taking there. But if it's compelling enough, if it drives enough clicks and the actual lead does what it's supposed to do of the sales page, which you can't control in this instant, then I think it's totally fine, right? So, for example, like the 6-question quiz, you can literally, for a health email, you can literally say, dear friend, there are only 6 questions you need to concern yourself with when it comes to fixing your bloating. 1 is this, 2 is this, the rest of the 4, well, you have to click here and find out, sign off.
Yeah,
That's literally how simple and how easy these emails need to be, especially with the behemoth of a sales letter like this. Like, let it do its job.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Jared's mentioned before, and what you mentioned last week, because I was linking to, remember those order like pages rather than like a sales letter, and you're kind of pointing out how if you have that big sales letter, you just need that congruent click. You don't really need to sell them on much because that's what the sales letter is for. So
right, and
cool.
There's something to be said for the qualified click. I think there's a fun little middle ground that you can find between something that's a little bit longer versus something that's a little bit more sort of quote unquote clickbaity. That's 45, 50 words, right? Like, dear friend, Harvard found a new breakthrough. OMG, it's crazy. Click here now. Like, there's a time and place for that. And there's also time and place for an email that might be a little bit longer. But I think when it comes to the context of the test you're doing for the $100 email thing, they kind of just want to see, like, and I'm assuming here, right? What emails drive the most clicks?
Okay.
So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. It's a lot of this is like where I'm at, I can understand like 0.5 like aspect of the wisdom, but like I know that it's there. I just, need time to turn it around in my brain to, to get it. So yeah, I really appreciate all the time you put into it.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm gonna go ahead and make a note. I'll send you a ton of like clicky type emails that I've been told like have set the internet on fire like 3 years ago. So those will be helpful.
I will be a congruent click. I appreciate it, Mike.
Awesome. All right, Ricky, what's going on?
Hello. All right, well, this is the sales letter that I'm working on for Josh. I just mainly want like general feedback. This is still in the rough draft days. But at the bottom part, like I have a couple questions for sure. Like I don't know how to transition this into like the closing part.
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, let's take a couple steps back. What's the offer?
The offer is a simple dating solution for those who are tired for repetitive dating and try to respark their relationships with their significant others.
Okay, cool. So this is not for the quote unquote player. This is someone who has a relationship that's sort of like you said, fading, and they just kind of want to bring the juice back, right?
Essentially a relationship saver, but not in that broad terms.
Okay, great. So did you want me to sort of read through it? Did you want to talk like high level, like marketing concepts? Do you want me to go straight to the questions?
Give it a quick read through. If I need to
Yeah.
change anything, just like by all means tell me. Like, pretty please. I'm open to all and any feedback.
The one thing I'll sort of ask is, how many dates do they get? Like, I'm assuming it's a date ideas.
They get 4 a month.
Man, so I'd have something about, maybe a weekly date or something that's specific to the unforgettable dates. Because right now, this is awesome what you have here. I worry that it's something that worked maybe 3 years ago. Now we need something of a mechanism. We need something of a differentiation in the actual headline for this to make sense. So what kind of dates? Do they follow a specific structure?
There are unique dates correlated to each person specifically. It's mainly a subscription to a magazine.
Right. So, I mean, this is where we sort of put on we take off the copywriter hat and we put on the marketer hat. We just think about, how can we differentiate these dates? Is this the equivalent of me just Googling how to have a hot date on a Saturday, right? We need something that tells us that, ooh, this is new.
Hey, Mike, you know how in financial copy, every time it's like a stock picker thing, they always have their 3-step criteria, their 3-step proprietary criteria. What if it was something like that where,
Yeah, you can certainly have that.
yeah, it's like every date idea has to be pushed through these 3 or 4-step criteria to make sure that it's like whatever, optimal, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And that's kind of what I was getting at, right? Like even saying something as simple as like, never let her lose interest in you again, with dates that follow this exact 4-step love reignition blueprint. I don't know. That sounds whack, but
No,
you understand
but
what I'm saying.
Yep.
And then the other thing I'll say is, this assumes that they've already lost interest. So I almost wonder if this is too much of a leap and we need to take a step back and basically say like, I'm trying to think of the right wording. It's basically not never let her lose interest in you again, but how to make sure that you're reigniting a relationship. Like those are two different ways to say the same thing, but I think you basically move this up, right? You move up the rekindle your love and spice in your relationship here, and then you say with this whatever 4-step blah blah blah. Does that make sense? Why I'm sort of honing in on this?
Personally, I don't get it. I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah,
I'm
no
keeping
worries.
very open-minded about this. Like, this is still all brand new to me.
Totally, yeah. So like, just to sort of explain myself a little bit further, it's simply the reason why we sort of talked about this part is I need something here that tells me this is new. I need something that tells me this is unlike any other sales page I've read.
Okay.
And that means we need claims and mechanisms and something in there that really, when I land on the page, I go, oh shit, this is unlike anything I've read before, right? So I'll give you an example. You take Jared's page, right? The PWAT page. If he didn't have the PWAT in the headline or somewhere, some sort of differentiation or mechanism, I don't think the page would have worked.
Okay.
Because that gave his entire system that newness factor.
Yep. Dude, anybody can have an email formula, but not everybody has the PWAT email formula.
Right. This is a conversation about market sophistication and awareness. Like, where are all these people? We know that the dating market is very sophisticated and they've seen every which claim out there. So we just need something here that lets me know that, ooh, this is different than the other 55 people in my email inbox.
Gotcha.
So is this about games?
Again, this is all in like the very, very beginning stages. I got to go through and edit it. Originally, I thought it was like a game or ideas to come up with game solution ideas. So no, it's not a game.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, then, I mean, go ahead.
It's literally just a subscription on a to a magazine type thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, look, this game thing is actually really cool. I actually really like this idea. So it's possible that this is what we need, right? Games to play on your next date or whatever. That's something you can play around with too.
Not necessarily, Josh. Strictly, he specified that this is not a game, but like this is a personality. It doesn't matter if you're a shy gamer, as like a shy person, or an outgoing sports nut. It's the two complete opposite spectrums of each other.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's why I asked, because you have literally this game right here.
This game we play. This method.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So look, I don't want to leave too many comments because I know this is sort of still in this infancy stage. And I think what you have here is a great start.
All right. So I'm headed in the right direction, correct?
Totally, dude. I think,
right.
again, once you add in this newness factor here and you lace that throughout the lead a little bit and continue sort of harping back to it.
Okay. So just keep
That'll
referring back to, okay. Oh, for like the last part that I really need help with is like when I'm looking at the copy template with all my notes, how do I transition it to like to the close? Like now, if you're ready to stop playing, get serious, click this. Like, how do I go about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, what template are you using right now?
I'm using the RMBC, the copy so far.
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's literally as simple as once you sort of paint this picture of what the problem is and then what the solution is, and you've done a good job of explaining who you are. I don't know if this is coming from Caitlin or from Josh himself.
It's coming from Caitlin.
So then you literally go, you know, once I figured out the problem and once I figured out the solution, I decided to put it all into one grand course introducing, and then you just get right into the product.
Okay. So, and then, okay. So like, just so I make sure I get it right. Talk from the perspective of Caitlin.
I would, yeah. I think, I mean, who is this coming from? This letter, right?
Okay.
It's also possible that you guys want this to be sort of an e-commerce-y type page, but this doesn't read like one.
How would I, what would you recommend? How would I change that to an e-commerce thing?
Well, is that what Josh wants?
It's like an e-commerce hybrid type ordeal.
Then that's fine. If this is sort of coming from the team, then you can just say again here, you can literally just say Adventure Dates is a customized solution designed to create the perfect date for you to enjoy. And we've put everything you need to know inside of a whatever 7-step system, whatever it is, introducing, and then you introduce the product.
Oh, okay. Got you. I believe I have what I need.
Awesome. Yeah, man, but good work, dude. Like, I know, considering this is your first sales page, like this is stellar for your first, like you should see my first sales page. Like I'll try to find it if I can and send it to you.
Oh yeah, by all means, please.
But dude, you're like light years ahead of.
I thank Jake Blue for that. Like, when I saw that he did that one sales letter in like 30 minutes, blew my mind.
Yeah, dude, I'm not even done with research in 30 minutes. So I don't know. But
crazy. Cool. Thank you so much,
hopefully,
man.
Yeah, man, of course. Are there any other sort of questions you have for me or any sort of clarification points?
Not as the moment, but if I have any more, I'll be sure to hit you up in chat.
Sweet, man. Yeah, good work.
Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Okay, so this is the email for the $100 email for Justin and Stefan, and it's the Slim Belly cleanse. So I try to take it at an angle that many people try to flatten their belly basically, but nothing works. No sports, no intermittent fasting, no nothing. So it just has to be cleansed out.
Great.
So I try to not give away any too much or anything basically in this email. I just try to tease it because the sales page does the selling, but yeah, so I did it at that angle that nothing works and what might work for you.
Right. And I also think like when it comes to weight loss, I think there's this idea of things work until they don't. And what I mean by that is, everyone sort of lost the same 10 pounds 10 times. So I think that might be something novel for you to think about. Is just like, all this working out, dieting stuff works really, really well until you stop working out and dieting. And that's sort of the problem, that there's no real sustainable long-term solution. So maybe there's something there that you can play around with. But let me go ahead and read through this. So the thing I play around with when it comes to subject lines is something that's really benefit heavy and curiosity provoking, because basically the point of a subject line is for them to just open, right?
Yeah.
And I think if, for example, if someone reads this, if they've never tried or know what intermittent fasting is, then they're not going to sort of open this, right? So we need something, I think, that casts a really, really wide net.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is your best bet. We just need something to add to it. So cleanse your belly slim with blah, 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 or breakthrough solution cleanses your belly slim, or, revolutionary technique fixes belly bloat, or something like that. Just some sort of curiosity. Right.
In that subject line, if you're going to say cleanse your belly slim, I would have a parentheses that says not a juice cleanse, because that's, as soon as people hear cleanse, that's what they're going to think of it, or all the juice cleanses. So I would call that out, that it's not that in the subject line.
I see.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I put it in the email, but yes, I understand. Not a juice cleanse.
No matter what I did, Okay, so in this email, what you have here, I think is awesome. I don't know if we need most of it. I'd like to get here as fast as possible, because here again is the first place in the email that I'm excited and I'm like, ooh, this is something new. This is going to be something that fulfills this promise.
Mm-hmm.
So my recommendation is to basically either move this up and just say, you know, dear friend, I finally figured out the root cause of why my stomach was bloated and it was a game changer. Before that, I tried all of this stuff and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Or you still have your past before you get there, but we need to basically shorten this as much as possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense why I'm saying that?
I think so. What I try to do here is I try to use the P watt formula, but I'm not sure if I understood it right. So
Comment simply has some solution. Thanks. Yeah, so I wonder if actually the easy fix here is just to sort of shorten this.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Right, this is about 350, and I wonder if it's literally as simple as like, dear friend, if you've tried to lose weight, you know how tough it is. I've tried all this stuff, nothing helped until I figured out the root cause. It was a game changer and it gave me all this cool stuff. And I'm going to share with you the same solution. Click here now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of
Thank
course. How you doing, Brad?
Hey, doing good. How's it going, Mike?
I am well.
Yeah, basically just tried to follow the PWAT pretty much to the letter.
Dude, Jared should just run these calls moving forward. They're all about PWAT emails.
Whole whack for life.
Awesome. Okay, so sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was all I wanted to share. I just wrote this for the $100 offer that Stefan made, and just followed PWAT. I've written health supplement emails in the past, but never really used this kind of formula that's so brief and to the point. So it was kind of a new style, new format for me. So definitely interested to hear you guys' feedback.
Yeah, totally, man. And it's, you know, it's really fun to write once you get in the swing of things, because you'll start to notice that the power of an email is actually more about what you choose to leave out than what you put in, right? The details you omit are what actually create that sort of knowledge gap and that curiosity. And that's why some of these really quick emails work so damn well, in my opinion. Right, so let me go ahead and read through this and see what's what. So boost digestion, on your belly in just 20 seconds with this. There's probably something where you can have, you know, can I write on this? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can probably have, is this guy a medical doctor or he just has his PhD?
I'm not exactly sure. There's like a bio in the sales letter, but I can't remember the details.
Well, you can basically have something like this. Or you can have
20-second belly bloat fix, belly trim trick.
Yeah, whatever, something like that.
Yep.
The structure is there, right? where we have, go ahead.
No, you go. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say the structure is basically there because we have a couple things here, right? We have a big claim. We have an objection handling that it's natural. And we have something that has some sort of a proof point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was missing from here, in my opinion, was there was no real proof.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's great.
So one test, and this is just to get your mind thinking about subject lines. Obviously, you're not going to be able to like go in and be like, hey, I want to test these 5 subject lines and shit. But when you're writing subject lines, right, and your goal is to have varied ones for testing purposes, like your subject line for this one could just as easily be avoid fiber. And then in the preview text, allude to the digestion or the slim your belly or the belly bloat. Because everybody thinks that fiber is good for bloating, is good for constipation. You know, oh, you just need more fiber. And so if you have avoid fiber, then you're just going against that common, you know, that common knowledge, and that grabs attention. So if if you're writing for a list that does from name changes, and the from name is like belly bloat, and then the subject line is avoid fiber, now you've created that whole counterintuitive thought in 4 words.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, you can literally do that for any of these. Avoid blank, avoid blank, avoid blank. You can also, I mean, this is something BioTrust used to do, or Transformation Insider rather. They would literally just run stuff that were, the subject line would literally be 1 word. Like the subject line would be cashews or bananas or whatever. So you can also try to cast a really wide net and just do laxative, just do juice cleanses, just do diet, high fiber diets, or just fiber in general, and play around with a lot of stuff, right?
Cool.
So when you're editing, one of the big things is like getting rid of as many unnecessary words as possible without losing the intention of the line, of the copy, right? So for example, your second line is, that's because each of those treatments misses the actual reason. And I would say that reads weird, like it reads clunky. The actual reason that causes bloating feels really clunky to me. So literally just 1 word change, like that's because each of those treatment misses the root cause of bloating in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, oh yeah, potatoes. Thank you, Aria Grace. Sorry, my daughter came up to me. And then you do like
don't eat potatoes, dude. It'll bloat you. Don't do it.
And then you do like an M dash. Actually, let me just go in the doc and
yeah, feel free.
Wrong thing. So there's an M dash. That's because each of those treatment misses the man, my keyboard is like killing me right now. Actual cause of bloating. And then you introduce your idea, the unique mechanism of the problem, hidden constipation. And then the next line is when you can go into what that means, but you're literally eliminating all of this. And you're creating one stronger sentence out of it.
Yep. Smoother and yeah, more to the point.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. You know, when it comes to editing, stripping away excess sort of fat is the way to do it. I think there's actually a secondary reason why this is such a stronger sentence. Have you ever read anything by Roy Peter Clark?
I have one of his books actually. Yeah.
It's like the 53 tools for writers or whatever. One of the tools he talks about a lot is like one of the most important things that determines the strength of a sentence is putting the most interesting shit either in the beginning or the end, right? And that's exactly what we did here. We put the most interesting thing at the end.
Yep.
Because before that's because each of these treatments misses the actual cause of bloating in the first place. That in the first place is excess fluff. And what we needed to do is put something really strong, either in the beginning or the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think this is a much stronger sentence. And Jared's right. You can pretty much erase all of this. Alternatively, well, not alternatively, you can also keep this blind if you'd like. You can literally say, you might notice that no matter what you tried, all this shit, nothing works because they missed the root cause of bloating. Something scientists now know is called hidden constipation. And if you're also struggling with fatigue, brain fog, or dry, itchy skin, that's probably also the culprit. Fortunately, we now have the world's first solution to attack hidden constipation. Click here now. So you almost don't sometimes need to have a full explanation right away. You can keep things blind.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of ratchets up the curiosity that way.
Yeah. So another thing that we would do when we would be, when Tanner and I would be writing these emails, hidden constipation is that unique mechanism of the problem. And then you could literally just get rid of that next sentence in general, like totally, that next paragraph. And hidden constipation goes beyond just bloating and poor bathroom habits and can even lead to fatigue. So that's where you would just pick it up right there. When you're playing up, so that's like obviously the agitation section. It's not just this and this. It goes far beyond that. Try and find at least one, but preferably two really bad down the stream issues. Like I'm talking like cancer bad. And I know that seems like over the top, but like, fatigue, brain fog, dry, itchy skin, all of them relatively mild. So either figure out ways to make them sound really dangerous or really shitty, or find bigger problems.
Mm-hmm. Even, I mean, those were the ones, sort of the like long-term consequences, some of the ones that were mentioned in the sales letter. Are you saying like even go beyond that and kind of expand on what's in the sales letter?
So let me give you an example in this case specifically. If all I had was fatigue, brain fog, and dry, itchy skin to work with, what I like to do is go least problematic to most problematic to really end that sentence with the biggest issue. If they don't address it, they could be dealing with this. And that's why I said like cancer bad. You want something that they end the sentence and they're like, fuck, I got to fix this. So in this case, I would take fatigue, right? Because fatigue is something that can be horrendous or it could be really mild. So, and can even lead to dry, itchy skin, severe brain fog, or debilitating fatigue. Ratchet that shit up, make it emotional.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the lesson there is just you escalate the problem. Right.
Yeah.
And the secondary lesson is just like you saw how actually deleting details, the omission of details actually makes this much stronger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I said when you first hopped on the call, which was just like, you'll start to notice that with these smaller sort of really quick emails, the secret and the magic is in what you choose to leave out. That's what's going to drive the click. So anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a great email, man. I think once you sort of tighten stuff up a little bit, delete this sort of fluff and escalate the issue a little bit more to your sort of taste, I think it'll click quite hard.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Awesome feedback.
Yeah, of course. I think that's everyone. There were a couple of people who I didn't get to, but they're actually not on the call anymore. So let me just go through the chat one more time. Yeah, I think that's everyone. Does anyone have any sort of overall questions on anything, you know, Jared said today or that I've said today, or any questions that you guys still might have that I can help with? All right, I will take that silence as a no. Oh, Ryan, what's up, man? Do you have a link or anything you needed me to look at? Is it this one? Okay. So Ryan, are you still on the call? I'm not seeing you. Maybe you're muted.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
What's going on? How are you?
Good.
Okay, so it is a little bit, the audio is a little bit choppy, so maybe there's a connection issue, or maybe it's just on my end. But I'm just going to sort of.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, no worries, man. I'll just talk, and if I say anything egregious, just feel free to chime in the chat. But yeah, as far as subject lines, you know, these are all kind of, these are almost too similar to test, right? So I think this is great as one subject line to really see if this rotting food or undigested meal sort of really sticks hard. I don't know if we want to sort of test this 3 times though, because they are very similar. So what I would recommend again is what we talked about a little bit earlier with some people is, where's the benefit? Where's the curiosity? Where's something that really compels me to click? And I'm actually sure you can pull something from here and use it as a subject line too. So maybe something will pop up.
Okay, so you're suggesting something, let's see, something more, let's see, my mic was off and I had to refresh. So can you give me one sentence to summarize it up again?
Yeah, what I was basically saying is, I think these 3 subject lines are too similar to split test
Okay.
against.
Okay, so basically pick something out, like 2 completely different more headlines.
Right, exactly. And I think one thing you
Okay.
can do is play around with a benefit-driven one, a curiosity-driven one, maybe a revelation driven one, just anything that can sort of different entry points into this email itself.
Hey, Mike,
Okay.
Isaac posted something in the chat just for reference purpose. Somebody pointed out that they only want one subject line. So just
cool.
to
Yeah,
contextualize that this is all good for subject line writing in general, but I just wanted to point that out before everybody starts submitting like 5 subject lines.
Okay,
that's a good call.
yeah, usually like the way I see emails is, you know, like offer owners, they like to test, so I like to give variations and see and let them like get a feel for what their list responds to most. So that's the reason behind multiple headlines. So I guess I have to ask and figure out like, hey, are you going to test multiple headlines, or you get what I mean? And then they have an option too to pick the best one, or the one that they feel that suits their list, because I think each list has like a different personality.
Right. Okay, so I want to ask serving question manager for any treats for your gut health. So a couple things. One, I wonder if you just ask the question right away, right? I think that's a little bit more of a
Mhm.
slippery slide, so to speak. It's almost like when people come to me and they go, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And it's like, "Well, you just did," right?
Mhm.
So I would literally just be like, "Hi, Dr. Ferraro here. Would you ever eat on food that's been sitting out for days?"
And then another question that I was asking myself is, would Dr. Furrow speak in that tone? Is he just an outright type of person? From what it looked like, it looked like there was he'd be the type that would be like more of a person that would use a pacing type of pattern. So I was trying to like match the voice. What do you think?
I totally get where you're coming from. I think for the purposes of this exercise, I don't think that's something that we really need to spend a lot of time on.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that if you were writing with this company long term, and this is something that you sort of want to make sure that you're writing in the right voice and there are brand considerations and stuff like that, then yeah, sure. Like you want to make sure that you match personality. You want to make sure that you bring a lot of his sort of flavor to the writing. I don't think that that's necessary right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think long term, it's definitely right.
Okay.
And then the other two things are, I think if you want to go this route, you need to give me some flavor of why it's not. Right. You're saying it should have been flushed, but it's not. And then you just keep going. I need something here that explains, well, why is it the case that I'm not flushing out but I'm not flushing out food in my system like every other human alive? So I just need a sentence here that basically says, this food should have been flushed out of your system long ago. But if you're one of the millions of Americans who suffers with whatever, you can use hidden, what is it? Use a hidden constipation again.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. So yeah, my mic. Yeah, I'm having internet issues. I apologize for that, but
No
let's
worries.
see.
I'll just say it again. So
Okay.
basically, there's a step that's missing for me here as a reader, and I just need you to basically take me by the hand and tell me why I'm not flushing out some of this food.
Okay.
So it could be something as simple as, this food should have been flushed out of your system long ago, but if you're one of the millions of Americans who suffers from a newly discovered hidden constipation, it's not. And as a result, it can lead to a host of health problems such as boom, boom, boom.
Okay. Okay. That's thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then the only other thing is, if we're sending to this page that's a little bit more built out, I don't know if we want to name
Mhm.
the product right away. I'd love if this was just like, if you want to know more on how to fix this, click here now. Like you almost don't need this entire section.
Mm. In the product, and basically they're subscribed, and we're trying to get them to basically view the product.
Sorry, say one more time. You're breaking up. If it's easier, you can just type in the chat.
Okay. All right, I'll tell.
Sweet.
Okay.
Mm. Well, I think regardless if they're seeing the sales letter first or second time, unless this is a cart abandonment series or something where we know that they actually got all the way down to the product and know exactly what it is, I almost would want to keep this a secret.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and also keep in mind,
I think that question. Okay.
Sorry, say one more time.
Oh no, I'll probably I think that's a good question. I'll ask them like what are like what's from what point of view are they reading these emails? Have they ever seen the product? Are they part of the list brands, the branding list, or are they being introduced to email? Is it through cold traffic? I think that's a good question I need to ask before
Yeah, I think
submit
that's a
these.
really good question. But I think regardless, I mean, 99 times out of 100,
Mhm.
my gut, like I don't think you need to mention the product at all. Because that sort of gives away that it's a pitch for a product, which it is, and they kind of know it is, right? But
Mhm.
what you run the risk of is slim belly cleanse. I've seen that before, and then they don't click at all, which means the sales page can't do its job. And the email's only job is to drive a click, for the most part, a qualified click.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that strategy is more of a Ben Settle type.
Right. I'm not too familiar with Ben Settle's work, so I
But
don't.
I'm taking into your consideration. I'm probably gonna see what's the best way to modify that.
Right, which means you can't really use any of this.
Mhm.
You can use the actual testimonials. So you can say, P.S. when you fix hidden constipation, you get results like these.
Mhm.
Right. And then I would basically wouldn't have the pill part. And then same thing here. Again, like I don't know the context of this $100 thing. I haven't seen the Facebook post. So if anyone has more information than I do, like feel free to chime in and let me know. But it sounds like they just want to drive clicks. Am I wrong to say that?
I'll go in and ask them.
Yeah, Isaac said basically you're just supposed to write an email for the offer, no specific direction. So yeah, my gut tells me that what they're looking for is literally just like, hey, here's a sales page, let's drive some clicks, let's see what's up. Right. So this is awesome. You have a sort of a cart abandonment type email. I don't know if that's what they're looking for, but I don't see there being a problem with you just adding it in with an email that is a little bit blind.
Yeah, because I thought why not give them an extra email to test? They can capitalize on them not making a purchase, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. But that it's written really well. Good work.
Thank you.
All right, and now I think that's everyone.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take your questions in consideration. Go ahead and ask them and figure out what's the most accurate way and most relevant way to write emails for that list. So that was a
yeah, I mean,
good.
if you have
Yeah.
the Facebook post that you want to post, I just don't even have a link for it. I haven't seen it. So I'm happy to read over the prompt and see what they want to help if you have it on hand.
Okay.
But if
I'll just
not,
go
no
ahead.
worries.
I'll just grab it right now.
Cool.
Some light jobs. $100 thing. If anybody can do it faster than me, by all means. Okay. Got it. There you go.
Sweet. Yeah, so this is a very just like, hey, just write an email.
Mm,
So my advice is to not mention the product in the actual email.
okay. Awesome.
So hopefully that's helpful, man.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Great. And Anita, to answer your question about what word count do we target with sales letters, I think, the answer is a very annoying one, which is it depends. Some sales letters need a lot of proof behind it and a lot of explanation, and some don't, right? So it's kind of one of these things where, when I was in elementary school, no, in middle school and high school, I'd always ask my teacher, like, well, how long does my essay have to be? And they'll be like, as long as it needs to be. So I think as you write a sales letter, you'll sort of feel out, are there any gaps in my logic or in the argument? Is there anything that I need to share with the reader a little bit further and have a little bit more explanation so that they understand what's going on? And then from there, you can see kind of how long it is, how short it is, and so on and so forth. The typical rule of thumb that I've been taught is typically the more expensive something is, the more quote unquote justification it needs. I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule, and I don't want you to sort of take that and run with it, but you will notice that for a lot of the Agora style promos, they are sort of in that 10,000 word range. As opposed to, I don't know if you'd see a lot of free plus shipping offers with 10,000 words, but I'm sure you can find some. So I'm sure price has to do with it. But hopefully that's helpful, just giving a little bit of detail on how I would approach all that. Yeah, I mean, the Agora stuff is super long, right? Like when I used to work with Agora, it was, all my promos were like 10, 12,000 words. And that's not including upsells. That's not including the 3,000 words extra that we would write for the checkout page. There was just a lot that sort of went into it. So yeah, it's a lot. The max for email, I think it's the same thing. I don't think there is a max, or it's just what needs to be done, right? So the way I'll look at the email length is typically the more built out a sales page is, right? The less you'll need the email to do some of the heavy lifting. So for a sales page that is super built out like this, if I were just starting to test stuff, I would just test as many short, clicky emails as possible. Then from there, I would see which topics sort of opened and clicked the best. And then I would try to test sort of a longer version, a shorter version, a medium version, one with pictures, one without. So it's sort of this weird teeter-totter, right? Where, again, the longer the email, the less you need on the sales page, and vice versa. But again, sometimes, like, again, this is a very long sales page, right? Or a longer style sales page. You'd be surprised. Sometimes the longer form stuff really, really works well. And the example I'll give is, when I was working at Native Path Paleo Secret in-house, I was writing their emails. And at the time, we would have companies buy a lot of our like email drops and stuff like that. So they would send over an email that they had, but they also were like, hey, we want your copywriter to try to beat our email. So they would send these super long emails that didn't click really well. So I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to test a super clicky email. And my email would get 3-4 times the clicks of their longer emails, right? So I was like, yeah, I smoked them, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But it turned out that their clicks were more qualified. So even though they had less clicks, their emails made more money. So that's what I meant by like, it just kind of depends, and it's all contextual, and you never know what's going to work. But the typical rule of thumb is, again, the longer the sales page, the shorter the email or lift note, and vice versa. So hopefully that's helpful. Does anyone else have any questions about anything we've talked about? Yeah, of course, Nita, anytime. That's what I'm here for. Does anyone have any questions about sales pages or marketing or anything in general? I know we covered a lot of topics today. So I just want to make sure that everyone has what they need moving forward.
I figured I'd just ask, since I've done a few of these, is there anything that I've been doing consistently that you've noticed from our critiques that I should particularly work on? Because again, I'm here to do better at copywriting, not just improve, this email or that email.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like, okay, here's like my biggest rule of thumb for like all things copywriting and marketing is like,
okay,
what's the coolest shit here and how can I give that to them as fast as possible? So I think with some of your emails, you sometimes bury the, hold on, where is it?
Yeah, I'm doing maybe like too much throat clearing.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, this is what's fun for me. This is what's interesting. This is where my ears start to perk up. So it's just a question of like, always asking yourself, how is this new? How is this cool? How is this exciting? And again, how can I give that to the reader almost right away? So you do that with subject lines. Inherently, you give them the coolest stuff in the subject line, right? But then we want to make sure that we also give them cool stuff right away in the email. So I know it sounds like such a childish piece of advice, but it's really the name of the game here, which is like, what's new, what's cool, and how can I give it to them ASAP?
We're basically dealing with, overgrown children these days in terms of attention span anyway. So I think that just makes it wiser in terms of the advice. And it also kind of has shown me that there's apparently been this incorrect assumption in my mind that I need to give them time to see that this is for them. Whereas you and Jared have both basically pointed out that you don't need to have a prologue. You can show that this is for them and this is not for them, and also get to the action at the exact same time. It doesn't need to be one then the other.
Right. Those things are done in concert, not in step.
Right.
And, I think we all make this assumption that we spend 30 minutes crafting an email thinking like, oh, well, they're going to spend 10 minutes reading the email. And the reality is your prospect is taking a shit, scrolling through their phone while their kids are yelling in the kitchen. They don't have the time that we think that we think they do. So that just sort of further explains, we need to give it to them, and we need to give it to them quickly without any sort of prologue, like you said.
Okay.
In an email, right? When it comes to a sales page, we still do that, but we almost give them the explanation after we give them the good stuff. So you mentioned that you're starting your first sales page next week, right?
Yeah, so I've written one that was purely just a test one. It was like a non-existent, like Mike Tyson punching like offer. So that was just like for a structure test. And then I've done another one that was for my book, but it was a fiction book. So I'm trying to figure out how long form works at this point. It's still figuring out the structure versus like I actually expect this to work, if that makes sense.
Right. I mean, there's a good book called Great Leads
By Michael Masterson, right?
Yeah. So I would start there. That's super helpful in terms of like how to craft a compelling lead and how to know kind of what the lead needs, what it doesn't need, and so on and so forth. I would start there because that'll be super helpful. And I think email or long form writing, like nothing changes. The same principles apply. I'm going to give them the best shit in the headline and in the lead. And then I'm going to do a little bit of explanation and expand on all the ideas that I mentioned in the lead. And then I'm going to tie it all together by being like, boom, and here's a product.
Okay.
And then I'm going to sell the shit out of that product.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a short story versus a full novel. The elements are still in there, but there's more subsections in the novel and such, but the main, the Roman numeral things, so to speak, are still the same.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to look at it for sure. I did a call like 2 months ago for Copy Accelerator where I broke down my thought process behind one of my supplement wins earlier this year.
Okay.
That was a long form sales page. I think it was July 7th. If that helps, looking forward to the members area. If you absolutely can't find it, feel free to ping me and I'll send it to you. But that might be super helpful in terms of like my mental models and like how I think about approaching a long form sales letter, because that is kind of my bread and butter. That's what I do best.
Gotcha.
And I think just your writing style is more suited to long form stuff, because you said yourself, you tend to be sort of a write a lot, right? So
Yeah, long-winded. It's okay. You can say it.
no. I mean, well, it's not long-winded. I just think there's a time and place to explain every detail. And I think long form writing sort of lends itself well to that. So I think you might have a lot of fun, actually. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I never really ran traffic to the sales letter that I wrote myself before, so I wouldn't know how well it would have worked. And I mean, it's also so weird that I was trying to sell a fiction book with it, because that was a big weird thing for me when I was doing it. Was like, that's not, as far as I'm aware, that has not been done at all. So I was trying to figure out how to make it worth someone's time. So that was part of it as well. But I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm looking forward to getting your opinion on it next week, when it's not been an hour and 40 minutes from the beginning of the call.
Yeah, dude, no worries. I mean, look, here's the thing too, is just, I think, how am I trying to put this? Basically the long form, it sounds so great in my head. Hold on. I'm trying to think of like how to verbalize what I'm trying to say.
All good. I'm on your schedule.
I forgot. It escapes me. Whatever. The long form stuff is tough, dude. It is hard, and it comes with its own sort of like difficulties, and like there's also a benefit of just like I can pretty much write a ton of stuff and I don't have to fit everything into 75 words. Like I had to write an econ page like a couple months ago, and it was maddening because you asked me for an explanation of something and I'll give you 3,000 words. And that doesn't suit itself very well for an econ page, right?
Yeah. But I
So
think
you and I are a lot alike in that.
I think it's good though, because this is where, like, I mean, Justin's way more successful than me, Justin Goff, and because I'm sure that we have a bunch of Andrews, have a bunch of Mikes, I just wanted to clarify. So I just naturally assume that if he says that something's a good approach, that I should try it, versus just think, oh, well, I can figure it out myself. But I'm also just convinced in general of like the beneficial of having a holistic approach, because if I understand the sales letter, which I can't do unless I know how a sales letter works, I think that I can craft a better email to lead to it, if that makes sense. So
well, right.
Even if I don't write long form as my focus niche wise, I still think that even if I can just write an okay sales letter, knowing how it's supposed to work, even if I can't achieve it myself yet, I think will make my emails better. So
I agree, man. And the thing is too, and this is what I was going to say earlier, is like the win is not for your sales letter to make money. The win is for you to grow as a writer. And I've certainly had clients in the past where they pay me like an exorbitant fee up front, and then they never run my stuff for whatever reason. Maybe the guru got fired and they can't run it anymore. Maybe the product got discontinued, whatever it is, right?
Huh.
And I used to really be like, man, this is fucking bullshit. Like, why do they even hire me? Blah, blah, blah. Because it also cuts into my royalties, right?
Right.
And then I remember going, oh, dude, no, like the win is that I grew significantly as a writer and as a marketer in that time that I wrote and took on that project. So
Mhm.
again, even if this fiction book makes 0 sales, you've already won because you've written a sales page. You've learned sort of the argumentative structure and how things sort of move into place. And that will help you across everything you write from now on. You'll have insight into stuff, right? So
Mhm.
I think you're absolutely spot on.
Good. I'm glad that someone who's more experienced than me doesn't think that it's a stupid fucking idea.
No, dude. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of writers sort of pigeonhole themselves and they go like, I'm an email writer and that's all I'm going to do. And that's it. But
Right.
like, I don't know, dude, to be a well-rounded athlete, don't you need to try different sports? You can pick one at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I think it's similar with being a marketer.
And ultimately,
Like,
to be an expert, to be like an Olympic or professional, like league level athlete, you need to work your entire body. So even if you're not playing other sports, it's not enough to just, pitch the ball or just tackle the other giant dude. Like, you still have to spend the time in the gym and all that other stuff too. So I think that also plays into it.
right. I think that's a much better analogy than what I said, right? Which
Well,
is just like the holistic approach of things is
If I
really
have seen
important.
farther than any other, it is because I stood on the shoulder of a giant.
Well, the thing is too, like, look, I have a physical therapy background, right? I studied
Okay.
kinesiology in college. And that's why some of the health stuff kind of comes a little bit natural to me because I've always been kind of a nerd and been obsessed with the human body and sort of how things work. But a lot of physical therapists, we always talk about like taking a holistic approach to someone, right? So if someone walks in our offices and their hip hurts, like we're not only going to look at the hip, we'll look at how their knee works, we'll look at how the ankles are aligned, we'll look at how their lumbar spine, like we'll look at everything. So I think it's similar here where it's, and wow, this is a really like cerebral conversation, but
I love it. If you like it,
it's very similar in that you almost need to try and look at every facet of a marketing funnel in order to become a better marketer. So dude, hats off to you, kudos. I think that's the way to go. And I think it'll only make you a better marketer overall, which is the point of all this stuff. The last thing you want to be is a copywriter.
Yeah.
You want to be a marketer who happens to write copy.
Yep. And that's what everyone that I know who is successful just in general in marketing, regardless of what they're successful at, what their specialization is, always seems to mention. So success leaves clues. So I'm doing my best to follow the breadcrumbs as closely as I can.
Sweet. Well, let's do it, man. Is that helpful at all? Do you have any sort of follow-up questions or anything like that? Because I can talk about this philosophical stuff all day.
You and me both, man. I mean, it's just interesting to me because when you get into copywriting, I mean, everybody has their own intro, right? And it's easy to think, oh, like everybody must come at it from where I came at it from, but you have someone who's like they're in their 50s and they have like this pretty decent job and they just like hate doing it and they have a family. And then you have me and I came from retail and I was walking to work, so it's like we have such different intros to it. But then once you get past it's a great way to make a lot of money in little time once you build up. You just learn so much about just everything in marketing. Like I was amazed just how much I learned about the world in general from having to get into marketing and be an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, dude, which can get very scary too, because sometimes you sort of eat your own cooking and you sort of like, you steep yourself so much in your own research that you're like, yeah, the world's ending. I'm certain of it. I've read enough Reddit boards, like we're fucked. So it is tough sometimes to separate yourself from the research. And I think also, you're right. Everyone sort of falls ass backwards into copywriting. No one, at least that I know of, grows up and is like, I want to be a copywriter. Right. It's one of these things where you sort of go through life and you go, wait, people make money doing this? I'm going to try it too. right? And that was similar to me. So I got in this, I was doing customer service for a company. And then I taught myself how to code, and then I could do tech support and actually some of the back end coding. And then I started hosting affiliate. I was an affiliate manager for a while. Then I started managing a list. Then I started making sure that things got approved at ClickBank. I was sent to events to schmooze affiliates to mail out. And then when I was like 18, 19, I got an email from my boss at the time who was like, hey, if you can write these emails, I'll pay you X, Y, Z. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude. Like more money at 18, like Chipotle's on me. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, that's badass. I
And-
mean, that's early too.
Well, right. So the point I'm trying to make is like every job I've had within a business, and I've worked basically in every capacity from tech support to CMO, it's all helped me in understanding how to approach marketing problems and all of my writing. So to sort of circle back, try all of it.
Okay.
You know,
I didn't know if that was like a try all of it and then I say okay and then like there's an explanation behind it. I didn't know.
no, like try all of it. Like try long form, try short form, try writing only upsells, downsells, whatever, advertorials. Like try it all.
Yeah, it does seem like that's particularly nowadays, that's the better approach because I mean, yeah, you need to be good at enough of what you're doing, right? To actually get them the results. But a lot of business owners, they don't have a copywriting problem, they have a marketing problem, right? So they need the funnel. They don't just need the email, or maybe they don't just need the funnel, they also need the email. So if you can only do any one of these things, then they have to do more work. But if you can do more of that well, you're going to make them way more money than if they only have emails and nothing for it to go to. You know what I mean? So I guess for me, that's kind of where the whole specialization thing has been something that I struggle with as an idea, because I was getting coaching from Ed Ray, which was badass, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was in Copy Accelerator for a while.
Yeah, Ed and I go way, way back.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want
Like
to
5
assume.
years back. Yeah, he was
Oh,
like
okay.
12.
I love how everybody acts like Ed was like 3 years old like yesterday.
Well, I mean, so Ed is the only guy. So I got started in this when I was like 16, 17. Ed is the only other case of super young gun getting into this, right? So yeah, anyway, go for it.
Oh, yeah. And so he basically told me, okay, so you're doing an awful lot. And he did the kind Ed Ray thing. It's like, and don't want to shoot you down or anything, bro. But always has that bro. But you're doing a lot and you're not getting a lot done. And so it was one of those things where, he gave me like this hard hitting point, but he phrased it in the right way. And so I focused on just survival niche for a while. And it's funny you mentioned how like you get so deep into the research. Like if there's one thing to get, so deep in the research with, it's a survival niche. And now we're all, gonna die tomorrow because there's a comet coming and you need to be able to build your shelter today and have all your survival food. So I felt that.
Yeah, I wrote about a market crash like 2 months ago, and I was like, "Yep, that's it. It's done. America's not going to be a thing anymore. It's game over."
But it's
So,
funny
yeah.
because people talk about, like I hear a lot of people talk about how awesome Ed is, and he's already moved on from Facebook compliance. And it's whenever I hear people who are doing well where they are, it always comes back to don't just do one thing, because not everybody's going to be Stefan who can charge $50,000 per email, or not email. That would be awesome, right? Per sales letter. So I think that's kind of where I fall into it, particularly since I want to be able to sell my own stuff in the future. I see more value in that holistic approach. I mean, I don't know how you like come at it with, but I guess it's just kind of my mind vomit of where I'm coming
Yeah, there's
from.
a healthy middle ground. Look, here's the thing, right? Like every long form sales page I write, I also submit 3 to 5 emails with them.
Ooh, okay.
So it's not like I don't write emails. I still write emails. I just make more money. Like my time is best spent for the client and myself working on larger projects.
Okay.
Right. But that doesn't mean I don't do all the other stuff. Of course, if I have a royalty stake, I'm going to write as many lift notes as they need. I'm going to keep rewriting upsells. I'm going to rewrite all the autoresponders. Like, it's almost like if you do long form and you have a royalty stake, you're going to have to do everything anyway. Because why would you not?
Yeah. Just maximize your investment.
Right. So, I mean, look, the key for any copywriter to come into any business is to basically own as much real estate of that business as you can.
Okay.
And you can't do that if you're only an email writer, if you're only a long form writer.
Right. Same thing as the notion of doing not just copywriting for email, but also doing list management. Because again, even though in that case you're still in email, you're also taking up more of that real estate there as well, because it's a hell of a lot harder to replace a list manager, I imagine, than it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different story. I think that, you know,
Okay.
because that sort of takes you out of your wheelhouse of writing.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
But I guess it just depends. There's a healthy middle ground, right, of still doing a ton of stuff. Just depends. Everyone's sort of different. But the point I was trying to make is, like, when you're starting out, try everything. So actually, we have another email. I'm going to do this email and then actually got to get going here in 7 minutes. So
All good.
Carrie, and I hope.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I was going to say, Carrie, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. Let me know if I'm saying it.
I'm sorry.
Kari, sorry, man. Yeah, can I get access to this so I can?
Sure.
Oh, I didn't even know that you had, but there was more copy for you to look at, man. I didn't mean to be distracted.
No, dude, he literally just 30 seconds pinged me.
Yeah,
so don't even worry.
Yeah,
Isaac, you're all good, man. I'm glad we got to chat this stuff out, dude. I think it's really important, man. Like, you know, your career is more than just you writing emails, and it's important to talk about that stuff, right? Anita has a question about portfolios, which we can cover too. While Kari is sort of getting the email going, Anita, like, the biggest thing with the portfolio, in my opinion, is, well, do you have any portfolio pieces now, or are you going to write portfolio pieces?
Well, you know, as I'm submitting emails, like sample emails, I was thinking I can just write a sample email for each niche and then just share it. I was wondering if I can do that instead of
Yeah. Totally. I mean, you can definitely do that. I don't think that's a problem at all. I think if you don't have a lot of work right now that you can basically be like, hey, this is published, look at this, here are the results, then I think you almost have to write a ton of stuff on spec and put that into a portfolio and just show them, like, hey, I'm a good writer, here you go. You know?
I see.
So I think that's a good way to approach it.
Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to put it up on a website, so, you know, like, I have some kind of reference.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think it's really smart for you to have a little portfolio piece to send people.
Yeah, it's basically repurposing, you know?
Instead of having to write a sample email for every single prospect, I think it might be something faster. So it's a lot more initial work, but it might go faster afterwards.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I was just wondering, like, should I write just one email sample for each, or should I write a sequence, or?
That depends on how much time you have and how much time you want to devote to it. You know, it's a bit of a toughie. I don't want to tell you, like, yeah, spend the next month writing a ton of stuff for free, because you just don't know if that's going to go anywhere. So you sort of have to answer that question yourself and just, like, opportunity cost wise, does it make sense for me to do all this free work? You know?
I see. Okay.
So I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. All right, Kari, let's do it.
Yeah, just one email. That's it.
Cool.
The same thing, a simple belly fix.
So switch line of order 3. So I actually think we invert these. I think we go, hey, according to scientists from blah, 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 the average adult, yes, even you, can carry all this shit in your colon right now as you read this.
Okay.
And that explains why laxative, detox teas, and fiber don't work,
Right.
is because none of them tackle hidden constipation, which we know is now the true root cause of the issue. It's why you have so much poop in your colon in the first place.
Right.
Right. But there's good news, and then you go into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the reverse. Okay. Start with
So
the,
basically, yeah, just invert these.
oh, okay. I got
Right.
it.
And again, the reason why I'm saying that is because here's where I'm interested.
Yeah, because that's right there kind of like filler.
Right. So yeah, I think if you do that, it'll be a
Okay.
much better email.
Cool. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
This is my first time doing that. So.
Sweet, man. Well, yeah, dude, come on the calls whenever you want to. We usually don't have philosophical debates and chats about life and all things copywriting, but sometimes we do.
I love
But
that stuff.
feel free. Yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place for it. I love it too, man. Yeah, I'm hyped that this is your first call, man. Let me know if there's anything I can do in the meantime to sort of help out. And I'm looking forward to reading and critiquing some of your copy in the future on the Monday calls.
Sure. Sure. I'll come back. So.
Sweet. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm gonna get going. Hopefully, again, this is helpful for everyone. If anyone has any questions or anything at all, feel free to ping me on Facebook. And regardless, I will talk to everyone next Monday.
Cool. Take care, Mike.
Yeah, you got it, brother.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.